Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we add 2 billion new people to the planet by 2050, how are we going to be able to feed, clothe, house, and most of all, to provide the energy, the power sources that they need to have an increasing quality of life? And so something that's called distributive power generation is coming to the fore, meaning that where you live is where you produce your own energy and in turn be able to provide your own water, food, and all the other necessities of life. We have a gentleman sitting right beside me that's been working on this for a number of years and really is not just a national leader but an international leader with what's going on as far as being able to provide your own renewable energy source right in your own house, in your own community, and your own business. Theodore goes by Ted. E. Trabue is Managing Director of the District of Columbia Sustainable Environmental Utility, DCSEU, sitting right beside me. And Ted, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you very much for having me this afternoon.
I'm
glad
glad
to be here.
Well, I'm really glad to have you here. And you know, the Emerald Planet TV is really reaching the globe trying to talk about renewable energy and how to provide this to all now 7 billion souls, soon to go to 9 billion souls. But tell us a little bit about the DCSEU. How does it start and what's the mission?
Thank you very much. Again, thank you for having me. The DC Sustainable Energy Utility really got its start as a concept a little over a decade ago. You think about the 2 billion people or so on the planet, but here in the District of Columbia, we're proud to say we have 632,000 residents. That's growing by 2,000 residents a month, so we're a rapidly growing city.
I tell you, this is just incredible, the rapid growth of Washington, D.C. You don't really think of it, but the nation's capital, well, it makes sense.
The city went through years and years of decline, quite frankly, through the 80s and 90s when the city was experiencing very rough economic times. But lately, the city's been experiencing a renaissance, and it's really, really on the rebound. A lot of investment in the city, but a little over a decade ago, the city got serious about energy efficiency. For years, and I served as vice president of the electric utility here in the city for a number of years, but for years the city found itself struggling with trying to help residents stay up with their energy bills, trying to prevent people from getting disconnected so they wouldn't have to go through the winter months without heat, wouldn't have to go through the summer months without air conditioning. The climate change here is pretty significant. It gets pretty cold in the winter and very hot, very humid in the summer. So the city about a decade ago established a public benefits surcharge on all the electricity and natural gas bills. And they wanted to have, at the time, the District Department of Energy come in and provide energy efficiency programs for residents and small businesses in the city. Things went not so well, quite frankly. The city provided some of the services, the electric utility provided some services, the gas company provided some services, but when the city really got serious in about 2008, they said, we want to start a new paradigm in the city.
And this is the whole thing, Ted, of actually having it so it's an integrated city, right, so that you're doing everything across, all the citizens, but allow everybody to have access to energy efficiency and also energy conservation.
Absolutely. And so what the city did in 2008 was they passed a bill called the Clean and Affordable Energy Act of 2008 that required the establishment of an independent contractor to come in and run the city's energy efficiency services. All residents and all businesses in the city, from the White House to residents like myself, pay into this utility. It's a ratepayer funded organization, and everyone receives services from the organization. So we serve low-income residents, all other residents, small businesses, large businesses, the federal government. Our transportation system here as well, the metro system, and the Water and Sewer Authority is some of our largest energy users in the region.
Well, looking at DC SEU, which is the District of Columbia Sustainability Electric Utility, how does it function differently from what we think as a normal utility, electricity, gas,
Right.
and how does it really impact the lives of citizens in a way differently than we think of as a classical power utility?
You think of your traditional utilities. You get those love letters every month from them, and they tell you how much energy you used over the month and how much money you owe them currently. We don't sell electricity. We don't sell natural gas. We help residents reduce their consumption. We help businesses reduce their consumption of both of those commodities. Also, you think of a utility company as something that's regulated at some level by a set of regulators that are either appointed probably by the governor of the state. We have an electric public service commission here. Up in Vermont, it's called the Public Service Board. There are 3 commissioners who regulate the rates that the electric utility can charge. We have a set amount of money that we receive at the beginning of the year, and we're charged with hitting a number of goals in terms of helping to reduce the amount of electricity or natural gas that's used. And in conjunction with that, which is very important, which really sets us apart from other organizations around the world, quite frankly, is that we have economic goals, social equity goals as we call them, to increase the number of green jobs for DC residents, to spend money with locally based businesses, creating a cycle of economic development here in the District of Columbia that really benefits businesses and residents alike.
So that's something, and this really goes to the next question, is that really this is what sets you apart, and it's quite unique about the DC SEU, is that you not only just have the energy provision, but also the civil society, the societal development, social, and also economic development goals.
Yes, absolutely. We take them very seriously. We really, really embrace these goals. 30% of our funding must be spent in the low-income community. We have to spend 50% of the dollars where we actually go out and contract with contractors to go out and install energy efficiency measures in homes or in businesses. 50% of those dollars have to be spent with businesses that are certified as being headquartered, hiring district residents, and paying taxes, most importantly, here in the District of Columbia. In addition to that, we have to this year create the equivalent of 77 full-time jobs for residents of the District of Columbia. And those jobs have to pay a minimum of $12.50 an hour, which is what we call the living wage here in the District of Columbia.
So you're tied in very closely then as far as the city government looking at the whole city and how are we going to achieve what you would call social justice types of targets, but also you're very keen as far as energy reduction and the energy conservation. So it's interesting how you balance the policy of that and then to make sure that you're doing the energy efficiency and the energy conservation.
The city government is our partner in this work. We are a contractor to the District Department of the Environment. We meet with them weekly to discuss our progress, our programs, our vision, where we would like to go, what we would like to do. And as I said at the beginning of the year, we set out a number of goals that we have to achieve throughout the year, and the district government monitors us every step of the way. They also work with us. We do a lot of work in the renewable space, and we'll get into talking about that in a little bit. But where we go in and work in houses and do solar panels and things like that, the district will come behind us and do energy efficiency services
which
directly
is what they call weatherization.
Weatherization in the home. So you really get that 1-2 punch to maximize the work that you're doing in the residential home. We work very, very closely with the city to identify projects that are very good for the sorts of services that we're providing, helping us identify low-income multifamily buildings, apartment buildings here in the city, helping us identify, particularly when we're talking about putting solar panels on roofs. The city goes out and repairs the roofs of some low-income housing. We want to make sure that if we're going to put solar panels on a roof, that the roof is structurally sound so that we can install the solar panels there and it won't have an accident and the solar panels fall through the roof. So we work with the Department of Housing and Community Development to identify opportunities there as well. So the city is really a partner in this, and we really take a lot of pride in working with the city. The city also helps us monitor how we're doing and how we identify businesses that are certified as doing business here. That's not something that we can just do by ourselves. The city has to really tell us which businesses are out there, which businesses have the capacity to do the sort of work that we're doing, which businesses are paying taxes in the city. The district has a very, very unique taxing structure in that there isn't reciprocity between the neighboring jurisdictions of the state of Maryland and the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Right.
So you really want to make sure that the tax dollars and all of these ratepayer dollars that are being used for this endeavor are circulating and staying here in the city as much as possible.
Looking at green jobs, this is one of the things that, with the economy, it's jobs, 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 and more jobs.
Right.
But looking at it from the standpoint of green jobs, it seems like it's a natural. It comes into what DCSEU is doing. So how do you identify the people that are going to be involved in that? And then as far as counting the numbers of people as you expand the number of green jobs, how do you achieve that and know that you're actually on target?
Right. The District of Columbia, as Dickens would say, is a classic tale of two cities. You have areas of the city where the unemployment rate is probably at about 3% or less. I mean, just really, really high employment, high educational levels of residents. You have areas of the city, and the city is only 63 square miles, so we're not talking about a vast geographic distance between some of the residents and others, but you have areas of the city where the unemployment rate exceeds 20 to 30%. Great disparities within a very small geographic area. What we're trying to do, and particularly in the renewables, are identify opportunities where we can work in these underserved areas. We can work not only with the homes and the businesses in those areas, but work with the residents as well. So the residents who work for our organization, first and foremost, come from all over the city. We don't discriminate in that way, but we try to get residents from a very equal distribution geographically.
Yeah, and this is within the ward system.
Yeah, with all over there are 8 different wards in the city.
Right.
But we have residents from every ward of the city. Secondarily, when we have job openings, and we have a good number of jobs in the office, I have a rule. It's not the district's rule, it's Ted's rule. If you don't have a District of Columbia address on your resume, you don't get an interview. We have a lot of very, very talented applicants who send their resumes in from all over the region, but if you don't have a DC address, quite frankly, I put it in the recycling bin.
Now, Ted, we're running out of time.
Okay.
I want to ask you this. Where do you see yourself going, the organization, the next 5, 10, 15 years? And you have about 20 seconds.
Renewables, geothermal, combined heating and power, and looking at other technologies as they come on board that are suitable for the city. We're very, very excited about the future for the District of Columbia Sustainable Energy Utility.
Well, Ted Jabu, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Managing Director of the District of Columbia Sustainable Energy Utility. And thank you for being with us as we look at this very innovative approach. It's actually going global now, looking at how we produce our own power as we create the Emerald Planet.
This is firstgov.gov, where we're obsessed with getting you government information.
Brand new student loan applications on the site, baby. This calls for a celebration. Where's your uncle?
So in the end, it was either take the astronaut gig or come work here. What can I say? Duty called.
Dude, that's my cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's Sam's cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. Sam's? No.
Just log on or email us and get what you need.
C, change of address form. That's how it's done.
D, driver's license renewal.
E, emailing Social Security information.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice, we'll allow it. All right, Ed.
What are those?
Government surplus cars for auction.
You posted those online last time.
No, you did.
I'm posting them online this time.
For all your government information, firstgov.gov.
Oh, what have we got here? Sometimes you feel tired. You can't seem to lose those extra pounds off your midsection. And your joints hurt when you take the stairs? Well, you're getting older. But I'm happy to say that there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. We can also lower your risk for some serious diseases the older population is often subject to. Proper nutrition is more important than ever. Your body has changed, you know. Not as many treats. A basic exercise plan, lots of walks and fresh air, and most importantly, come and see me for twice-yearly checkups to help ensure the best possible quality of life. Now, how does that sound? Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. Schedule twice yearly checkups that include preventive care and regular lab work. A message from the veterinary members of the American Animal Hospital Association.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products, and of course the people that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And we're coming to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, but we're looking around the globe for those best practices that actually are very practical, can be implemented and adopted by communities without regardless of their income, the backgrounds, or the numbers of people within those various communities. And so we have a gentleman that's going to be joining us by Skype, coming in from the great state of Vermont. This is Donald Scott Johnstone. He is the Executive Director of the Vermont Electric Investment Corporation, VEIC. And sitting right beside me is going to be Theodore E. Trebu, who is junior. He's here as the Skype backup, and he's with the District of Columbia, the Sustainability and Electric Utility. And Scott, welcome, coming in all the way from Vermont.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here, and Ted is sitting here. You guys have been good friends, have known each other for a long time, and he's here in case we lose you by Skype. Ted and I are just going to keep right on talking, and then the sound engineer will get you back. But tell us a little bit about the VEIC. What is it, and what is your passion, and what gets you up in the morning and keeps you moving?
Sure. Well, VEIC is a nonprofit organization. We were founded in 1986, and we have a mission of lowering the economic and environmental cost of energy. So the way that plays out every morning is really two specific pathways. One is the needs of the people of the planet. I've yet to find a person that likes to waste money. I don't find very many that like to waste energy. And so when we can help people do that, when we can help a business avoid laying a person off because they lowered their energy bill, that's a win. When we can help a citizen not have to choose between paying their energy bill or putting food on the table, that gets us fired up, and everything in between. And the second piece is the planet. We have been so slow moving and creating such deleterious effects on our planet. The best solution we've got going today, and it's been true for a long time, be true for a long time to come, is to use the energy we have as efficiently as we possibly can and to start decarbonizing as fast as possible. So we get up in the morning to make sure all people have access to this, not just some, and it keeps us motivated and fired up to run through walls every day.
Well, the whole thing about it, Scott, is that the best kilowatt hour is the one that you actually don't have to use. And so if you can conserve it or be much more efficient with it, we're all ahead as far as the planet is concerned. And of course, that directly relates to reducing the negative impact of climate change. But coming out of a state the size of Vermont, expanding around the United States, that's a really tall order. So becoming a leader for distributive energy production, that's a really lofty goal that you have. Tell us a little bit about why Vermont is spreading itself across the entire United States.
Well, it's only if people are interested. We did some work here in Vermont over the past decade or so with Efficiency Vermont, which was the nation's first energy efficiency utility. It's now a franchise utility, with the first in the world, we believe. And what we found is that this idea of helping people and businesses save energy, move towards renewables, that resonates. And there are some lessons that can apply across every jurisdiction in the world, of course adapted to the local conditions, and that's what's key. So we decided that we ought to be willing to share what we know and try to be helpful in every way possible, because that's what our mission calls us to do.
Well, you've been expanding at a very steady clip over a number of years, but what have you seen as far as the impact of the economy and also the environment here in the United States and also globally. It's really giving you an opportunity to feel very confident in spreading your services and really the mission and the philosophy that Vermont has around the United States.
Well, there's an emergent understanding that we can't keep doing what we've been doing, that is simply not effective, that isolating electricity and heating and transportation doesn't really work, that over-reliance on carbon fuels is not working for our planet, and that there needs to be a new way. So what we find as we go around the country is that everybody agrees on wanting to save energy. It's a fairly simple piece. It changes in its form across the country because, again, it's what do people locally care about? And the biggest thing that's, frankly, people are interested in today is this idea of local jobs and economy. And the beautiful thing about efficiency is 85 cents of every dollar you spend on energy efficiency stays in your local economy. It churns over and over and over. It means your neighbor has a job. Through these last few years, I'll tell you, that resonates no matter where you are in the world.
Well, we're going to let Ted, he's not just a handsome, articulate young man sitting with me, but we're going to put him to work and let him ask the next question. Scott.
Thank you very much. Scott, as you know, VEIC has been around for over 25 years now. But in your view, what are some of the more innovative technologies and strategies, some of the best practices that VEIC is using to reduce the economic and environmental cost of energy to consumers?
Thanks, Ed. Most importantly is this principle of least cost planning. When you think about whether it's the best choices for the planet or for a business or for you as a resident, it comes down to cost. And we can value all sorts of costs in our equation, but that's what we do. We take all of the factors from the cost of the technology, cost of the installation. Some jurisdictions want to value carbon, some want to value healthcare and the benefits or negatives from their choices. And we put all that into this model called least cost planning, and it can begin to really set you on a new path. A second is taking a market-based approach. There are a lot of programs in the world today, and the problem with programs is they rely on continued funding forever to accomplish the same outcomes. We believe that's the wrong way to go about this work. What we really try to work hard on every day is to think about market development and market evolution in every piece of work we do. So the notion is let's use LED light bulbs as an example. Not too long ago, they cost $60 or $70 a piece. You put some incentive dollars in to bring the cost down when a product like that is early in its cycle. And over time, you work with the manufacturers, you work with the supply chains, and the price should drive itself down on its own. You lower the incentives till they go to zero, you take those dollars and you transform the next market. That's how you actually build the continuing opportunity to make an impact, recycling the same dollars over and over and over again. And I'd say the last piece that we've worked hard on is actually this notion of being a trusted source. We actually never subscribe to or sign on to a particular technology or brand name of product because we don't think if you do that businesses or residents can trust your input at that point. So we look at everything for each particular solution and provide the recommendations that we believe will work the best. So those are some of the key ways that we try to go about our work, particularly key strategies, because again, we don't particularly select technology.
Well, Ted, thank you for sharing that very insightful question, and Scott for a very thorough answer to that. I want to continue on with that, looking at the sustainable electric utility that Ted is representing here, and looking at the work that your Vermont Energy Investment Corp was doing. How do you look at the whole element of this becoming sustainable? I know you just mentioned some of those aspects, but how do you see that playing out for the future so that each of the communities that you're going in, whether it's in Washington, D.C., out in Ohio, other places where you're now working, this whole notion of sustainability needs to be the economic model, just not as far as protecting the environment itself?
Exactly right. And first and foremost, we really just have to follow that ideal that the economics will drive the right solution. And part of what we need to continue to evolve to is to put all solutions on the table with equal weight. And by that I mean, how much, let me ask a question. How much of the cheapest energy source would you like to buy? I suspect the answer is as much as you're allowed to. But that's not really the way we approach efficiency today. We tend to give it a budget and only provide that much. What we need to do is really rethink about where all of our energy comes from and set the conditions such that we can buy as much of the cheapest source as we can. Now, not surprisingly, efficiency will be that choice. The megawatt, that kilowatt hour that you don't use, turns out to be the cheapest source of energy. So that is phenomenally important, as is a blending, a tearing down of historic silos and a blending of issues together. We can't keep efficiency of electricity away from home heating, away from your transportation. All of the technologies and energy sources are coming together as we think about electric cars, air source heat pumps, renewable technologies. We really have to start thinking about these things comprehensively, so in order to get the best economics and the best outcomes for all people in business.
Yeah, I look at this point as far as collaboration and also cooperation, and to reduce the actual use really is the number one thrust of anything that's going to happen as we move further through the 21st century, because trying to produce more and more power is becoming, as you know, quite challenging. But looking at the different cities where you're working, and also the influence that you have, just not in the United States, but around the globe, how do you see the unique work of VEIC and then the focus in Washington, D.C.? How do you see the citizens directly benefiting, but then in the larger context, how do all citizens and even the local governments benefit from the impact that you have?
So most directly, your energy bill should go down if you dive into efficiency, take it seriously. You're paying into the system through a system benefit charge, and you should easily be able to get more direct benefit back out than what goes in on your electric bill and your natural gas bill. So it is so easy to get at least 30% efficiency out of a home. We know today technologically how to get 60. So when you start thinking about that, you can really have a dramatic lowering of costs.
Scott, we're gonna lose you in just a few seconds, so I just want to thank you before we do lose you for being with us on the Emerald Planet, coming to us all the way from the beautiful state of Vermont, and also for having Ted sit in with us and be a backup in case we lose you. But it's very important as we work together to create the Emerald Planet.
Too many women get hit by their boyfriends and husbands. Too many women are pressured into having unprotected sex. Half of the people in the world living with AIDS are women. It doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can change this reality. Let's strive for a world free of violence.
At Volunteers of America, we don't just give kids a way to stay off the streets. We give them the tools they need to reach their full potential. We don't just help the elderly receive needed care. We help them live life to the fullest. We don't just provide food for homeless individuals and families. We provide job training and placement so they can buy groceries. Volunteers of America is a national organization that for over 100 years has provided programs and services that allow people to overcome their challenges to become vital members of their community. At Volunteers of America, we don't just help people, we help people help themselves. Find out how you can support the programs that are working in your community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
Drivers face all kinds of distractions.
Guys, stop playing. No. 127 consecutive.
Before your wireless phone becomes one of them, stop. Drive safely. Keep your phone in easy reach and dial sensibly. In bad weather or traffic, call later and use a hands-free device. Remember, with wireless, safety is your call.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. As many of you know, there are extreme changes that are happening as far as the climate is concerned all over the globe, and at the same time we're going to be adding 2 billion new people by 2050. So how are we going to be able to provide all the basic infrastructure, the services, the education, the health care that's needed? And at the same time, how are we going to actually increase the sources of energy, power, that can be used to power all the things that we're going to be needing as we move through the 21st century. And so we have a gentleman who's actually doing this on a day-to-day basis. His name is George L. Nichols, who is the Policy and Public Affairs District of Columbia Sustainability Energy Utility, known as DCSEU. And George, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to join you.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. And of course, I've been out and I've listened to a number of your speeches and presentations. And you're doing an absolutely excellent job as far as the DCSEU and what that means and the impact on the citizens here. So the district has a goal of being really the greenest city in the United States, possibly the world, according to the mayor. Mm-hmm. And so what is embodied into what's called Sustainable DC Plan?
Okay, great question. Sustainable DC is a plan that was developed by the mayor's office. It really embodies a vision that includes environmental protection, energy resources is included as well. It includes environmental protection, economic development, equity for all, and wellness, health.
Well, I tell you, that's a phenomenal order that you have there, and putting in the wellness and also to protect the environment along with the economic and the social benefits. These are really lofty goals, and I know the city is really working hard at this. How does energy efficiency and energy conservation fit as the core of doing and achieving all these very lofty goals?
Okay, well let me add a couple of things to the question as well. There are really 12 sustainability categories. One is governance, another is energy and climate, another is the built environment, there's also food, there's also waste. So in all 12 of these categories, we look at energy as that common thread that pulls them all together. After all, we can't pump water, we can't cook food unless we have energy. So we think that energy plays a significant part of this whole sustainability strategy that we're going through now.
Yeah, Emerald Planet, as I think you and I have discussed several times, we have the Power for Peace. Mm-hmm. Looking at power is really the core that allows you to have, safety, wellness, food, energy, all these other things that you need is really the source of power is coming into all of that. And of course, that's being challenged as we continue to expand more people on the planet. And so the city is really moving forward as far as producing more and more of its own energy, actually from the households within the district itself. So looking at the spans of population, I think it's growing, annually about 2%. How does the city plan to actually meet that but not have to keep importing energy from other places?
Well, I would say that the District of Columbia's Department of Environment is really acting in a very proactive way. They are doing a great job at taking a look and positioning themselves to manage our resources in the future. There is a program, a policy program that they have. It's called Energy Smart DC. That's a comprehensive energy plan. Once that plan is completed, we will have even greater policies and direction for how we are going to accommodate the growth in the future. Meanwhile, what we are doing at the DCSEU, we are helping with energy efficiency, focusing in on some of our largest energy users. The district, in cooperation with the DC Energy Office, is doing a lot of work in that area. And when we talk about our largest energy users, we're talking about our hospitals, we're talking about some of our schools, our universities. We have projects that are going on throughout the city in these areas.
Well, looking at that, George, as we know, one of the things that we've talked about before this is that the best kilowatt hour is the one you're actually not having to use. And so the conservation and energy efficiency, again, going back to our conversation just a few minutes ago, really is the heart, the core of all this. So what is the broader societal benefits, though, of energy efficiency and energy conservation?
Okay, I would say that the broader impact and the broader question here addresses workforce development. We need jobs for our district residents. When we look at the statistics from not only the district's Department of Employment Services, but also the U.S. Department of Labor, we find that there are about 700,000 jobs in the District of Columbia. However, only 40% of those jobs are held by district residents. The other 60% are held by non-district residents. What does this mean? This means that there is not all of the money, all of the benefits that accrue from jobs in the district do not go to the district tax base.
Well, looking at that, the whole notion of expanding the tax base goes to the development of green jobs, and that back into the training and education, this intellectual transfer to the citizens. So looking at the positive change that DCSEU is having, how do you actually develop that skill base so that people are not having to travel, outside of the district, or even people traveling into the district, but allow people not only to take the bus or the subway, but actually to walk to their job, but at the same time to increase the quality of life and expand the source of renewable energy at the same time?
I would say that taking an integrated approach, taking the approach that the city is taking with the sustainability strategies, greater cooperation among agencies, among organizations as well. I would say that we are moving in that direction in a very aggressive way. When we look at what the DCSEU has done, I think there's a good story here. When we talk about employment, when we talk about jobs, if we look back in the 2 years that the DCSEU has been in existence, we have worked with over 250 district residents, either as vendors, employees, contractors, trainees, you name it. We have worked with them in those areas. So I think that's a positive benefit that we're showing in helping stabilize and helping provide jobs in this city.
Well, there's many photos that I've seen of you actually being out at the various job sites and working directly with the homeowners. And we have this photograph up here. Tell us about the interaction between the DCSEU and the homeowners within the district, and how they feel like that they are in essence in collaboration with your sustainable electric utility, but at the same time with the government, and it's reaching across the whole city.
Okay, there are several ways in which we stay active with our community. One of the essential ways that we do that is through community meetings. We participate in various community meetings throughout the city. We also partner with other similar organizations, and when I say similar organizations, they're organizations like, let's say the Public Service Commission may have an outreach program. We will even partner with them. As a matter of fact, during our first year, we collaborated with the Office of the People's Counsel, the Public Service Commission, and the Department of the Environment to hold meetings and to have events on a regular basis. We continue that. Another way is that we can always use our media, our technology, our website is available. We constantly get invitations to come and speak at various events, and we use that as a mechanism for reaching out to the community and staying in touch.
Well, I think this photograph here, and I've rested on this for a little while, George, and I think you know why, because this really exhibits what's going on in the city, because I know there really is a tight collaboration between the DC SEU, which you're very much a part of, and the community itself, and then of course with the city government. So in the training side of this, how do you identify those citizens within the city that then can come learn what they need to learn, expand their skill base, and also about the new and emerging technologies, and at the same time improve the quality of life for all citizens of the district?
I would say the fundamental way in which we do that is through referrals. We work with our community organizations to identify residents who may require training or who want to take a part of the benefits, the opportunities that we offer at the DC SEU. In many cases, folk will hear about us and then ask about our services, and if there is a program that we have that matches their skill set, then they will come in that way. Another way is through our contractors. We ask that our contractors, those that are working with us, use district residents as much as possible. So I think on that side, that is how we actually stay in touch and get employment for others.
Well, George L. Nuckols, who is the Policy and Public Affairs, District of Columbia, Sustainable Energy Utility, DCSEU, thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing about everything that's going on within the city. And it's really exciting how change is afoot and coming forward as we create the Emerald Planet.
Around the world, 1 out of every 3 women will be beaten or otherwise abused in their lifetime, often by a family member or loved one. A future free from violence. It's all she's ever wished for.
Did you know you have the power to stop children from joining gangs? You can help a father find a job and home for his family. You can assist a woman who can't afford the medicine she needs to live and the home she can't live without. You can choose to make a difference in our community. Support Volunteers of America, and you can help improve the lives of nearly 2 million Americans each year with programs and services that help individuals and families overcome their challenges to become as independent as possible. Support the programs that are working in our community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
For some folks, saving for the future is easy, but for you, it might take a little more effort. Saving for your future is your responsibility, and there's a lot to save for.
I never thought of that.
like your child's education, perhaps uncovered medical expenses, or just to be sure you can live the way you want when you retire. The time is now to save for tomorrow. Save now or work forever. The choice is yours. Choose to save.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President and Executive Director of Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV in Washington, D.C. And we're coming to you and we're looking at the best practices in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, those technologies, the services, and the products that are taking us through 2050 as we add 2 billion new people to the planet. And it's not just adding these people and see how that we can survive, maybe just exist on the planet, but how do we allow for even more vibrant lives and to actually thrive on the planet? We have a gentleman sitting right beside me who's working on those various issues, and he's a private business owner and taking real leadership, not only in Washington, D.C., but also around the United States. Sitting beside me is Mark A. Davis. He's the president of WDC, Washington, D.C., of course, Solar, but also, Mark, I learned through all this, you're the president of the Urban Solar Society of the United States, USSA. Congratulations, that's a huge honor.
Thank you very much. That organization was created in 2010 when a group of us attended a solar installation training course at Ohlone College in Fremont, California. We had individuals participating from all over the country, and about 8 of us got together and created the Urban Solar Society of America.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. Again, this is showing leadership, but we've been talking about on the program about, you know, government, citizens, and community working together. But now you really have professionals from across the United States working together to expand solar, but also other types of renewable energy. So tell us a little bit about WDC Solar.
WDC Solar was started in 2009. We basically focus on solar installation and solar installation training. We developed a low-income program in 2010 and presented it to the DCSEU, where eventually we did get a contract to install solar on low-income family homes. Our low-income family solar installation program incorporates 3 different segments. We do the community workshops, we do the training, and then the actual installations.
Well, we were talking about this when the first time we actually had a chance to meet and talking about green jobs training. This is something that through Emerald Planet we've really focused on 2 specially stressed wards, which is Ward 8 and Ward 7 in the city. And I know that's being targeted as far as putting the solar installations. So how do you match this where you're actually doing these projects, but at the same time reaching to the community to provide the training and the skills needed so that they actually, in their own communities, maybe even their homes, are now getting involved in installing the technology?
Right. It's not easy, but we have individuals in our community that really want to work. The thing is, solar installation training is very expensive to obtain if you try getting it outside of Washington, D.C. Our program is totally free to the individuals that participate.
You want to tell us that again?
To the participants, the solar installation program is free of charge.
That is absolutely fantastic. And because this is really a high skills and very technically oriented program. And this is something that the gentlemen and the ladies that come through this program, they could take this anywhere, not only in DC, but anywhere around the country.
Absolutely. We're very proud to have graduated 20 students in February. We had 3 engineers that graduated, received solar installation certificates. We had 3 individuals that were from international students, one from Nigeria, and another, we had, they were international suitors, basically.
Yeah. Well, looking at forming this, the Urban Solar Society of America, I think that's really a great testament to what's actually going on in Washington, D.C., but also it includes all of the United States and all that. So how do you see the work of the USSA? How does that complement the efforts of what you're doing, your own organization, but also really the D.C. SEU?
Yes, absolutely. So we're able to communicate with other individuals in urban areas about what's happening in the solar industry, what is happening with job training, how we get these individuals to work, and how we get solar systems installed on low-income family homes at no cost to the residents. That's the key, to find a formula, to find a mix between the rebates, the incentives, and the government programs so that these systems can be financed.
Yeah, when looking at it too, the house that we have here, if we can bring up the full screen of that, my Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C., is very actively involved in this project. And this house actually came out of a international 2-year competition by the U.S. Department of Energy, called the Solar Decathlon. And this is just really a phenomenal house. And this is leading edge technology. It's a passive house, which is, a program out of Germany. But this is a leading house, worldwide. And this is amazing that it's in a very low income community.
It is amazing, and I've met the recipients. They are very happy. My team went out, we installed solar systems on both those homes. I used trainees from our program to install the work. There you see some of them in the background. We're very happy to have provided this service to Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity paid for materials only. We provided the labor. And we're very happy to do projects like this in our neighborhood where we give back. We feel like it's our responsibility to give back to the community that we serve. We're very happy about that.
Well, looking at Habitat for Humanity and Rotary International, and there's just dozens of other organizations just like yours, Mark, that's involved in bringing these latest technologies and to demonstrate how these are really for all socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds, which is really important. But tell us a little bit about, and we really haven't defined what solar PV technology is and the importance for renewable energy.
Right. PV technology is a method of using silicon-based cells to produce direct current electricity. That is used to make the solar panels. So we take the solar panels and we put them together and connect them in series or parallel to provide AC electricity to homes and businesses in the District of Columbia.
Yeah, well, looking at this technology core, this is really worldwide, and so DC is part of this phenomenal growth. And as we know, based on the year, but the United States was the leader as far as developing this, and now has reasserted itself as far as the installation. So as you're looking around DC, what do you see as far as the opportunity, one, for green jobs training, so we're bringing more people into the employment sphere, but also the benefits and the opportunities for homeowners to be able to become engaged and be a part of this effort that DC SEU is really taking a nationwide leadership on.
Right. So our mayor, we have a very aggressive sustainability goals for the District of Columbia, which incorporates solar installations. So through that, we install, as we've mentioned, on low-income family homes. And as a result of that, the average homeowner is saving roughly 32% on their electric bills. So that 32% from each homeowner is then circulated back into the local economy. It's not going out to the large utilities. It's being spent right there, medication, kids' college, things of that nature. Food, what people need is right down home type of situation.
Well, Mark, this whole thing really is about sustainability, and it's for the individuals and the family members within these local communities. But looking at it also, too, is not only the fact of generating more renewable energy, but also the energy efficiency and energy conservation. And I know there are other companies that are doing that, but how do you marry, the renewables along with energy efficiency and energy conservation?
Right, so that's part of what we do with the workshops. We try and teach the individuals that attend how to lower their electric bills through the use of more efficient light bulbs, cutting out lights, doing some of the simpler things. And then we also to try and make sure that our solar systems are very efficient so that they provide the individuals with the latest in technology.
Well, looking at this whole notion as far as working with the low-income homeowners, why do you think it's important to really go in and work in those communities and make them feel like they're an important part of the community, but not only lowering their costs, but also contributing to the greater good of society, all citizens that are in the district?
Right, so combating climate change is something that we all must do. So what we have to do is figure out a way to incorporate the whole society into doing that. And the installation of solar panels on low-income family homes, not just low-income family homes, but on all DC residents' homes, and having programs in place that allow them to do so at a very inexpensive rate is something that I think the mayor is very interested in. He has policies that he set out to make that happen, and it is happening in DC right now.
Well, we have about a minute left, and I want to ask you kind of the, not really necessarily a tough question, but what do you see for the next 5, 10, 15 years, not only of your own company, but in general as far as renewable energy sources and also the energy efficiency and energy conservation to improve the standard of living, the lives of everyone that's in the district, but also around the country and abroad?
Right, so the solar industry is growing at double-digit growth, has been for the last 3 years, so I see that continuing. I see improvement in the quality of air we breathe. I see economic improvement, job creation, and I see green dollars going back into the families, power being generated on their roofs, which is lowering their electric bills. Over the next 5, 10 years, I see growth in other markets that are related to solar energy. The BOS market, the mounting market, lots of opportunity down the line.
Well, Mark A. Davis, thank you for being with us and sharing all this information. And I think it's absolutely just fantastic, Mark, what you're doing. Not only you have to day-to-day develop your own business, but you're looking after all the citizens of the district, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. And we're just blessed to have you, and it's blessed to have your company within the District of Columbia. So thank you for doing all